You'll usually see this sign posted around some high profile animals like tigers, rhinos, and even giraffes. SSP stands for Species Survival Plan, and it's a program that was designed by the AZA, or the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, in 1981 with the sole purpose to ensure there is a population that is stable enough to be able to one day return back to the wild. Many of these species are endangered or threatened, and the goal is to have a self-sustaining population under human care. AZA accredited zoos and some ZAA accredited zoos are taking part in this program to ensure that they have the best level of care for these animals. They're held to the highest level of standards possible and actively engage in conservation programs all over the world. There's various forms of conservation breeding programs that these AZA and ZAA zoos are taking part in. There's research, conservation genetics, public education, reintroduction, and field conservation projects. The animals that are chosen to be in these SSP programs are picked out by a Taxon Advisory Group, or TAG. These groups basically curate regional collection plans for the conservation needs of a species and how AZA institutions would collaborate with one another to achieve those goals. The Species Survival Plan's goals are to maintain healthy, genetically diverse, and demographically stable populations of various species. They support research and education of those species. They also collaborate with stakeholders to safeguard biodiversity. They also utilize research for potential reintroduction programs, either zoo-bred or individual species or other rescued species which are viable candidates for introduction. There's a few species that I can think of from personal experience that I've seen firsthand, like the red wolves right here in Washington. The Point Defiance Zoo houses these beautiful red wolves who are severely endangered, and they have a breeding program at the zoo, but they also have an off-site breeding program. This off-site facility has zero contact with the outside world. The staff that are there is very minimal, and they have very minimal contact with the animals. They're keeping these animals as wild as possible because they do reintroduce them back to their native range here in America. People think that SSP solely means that these animals will be released back into the wild at some point, which is true for some species and not so for others. The golden lion tamarin is an SSP species that was successfully reintroduced into the wild over the 1990s and early 2000s. This was a unique program that zoos would release golden lion tamarins with a patch of forest over the summer to see how they would adapt before eventually shipping them off to areas in Central and South America to be properly released. Other examples of SSPs that have been successfully reintroduced to the wild include the black-footed ferret, which I actually have taken a look at myself at a few facilities, one being the Louisville Zoo, and seeing their program was absolutely amazing. The western pond turtle is another species that I actually got to take part in the care of. I don't have any videos or pictures, but I did take care of some of the turtles. I did get to help out a little bit and see how small they were developed from just an egg. They're little itty bitty cute little turtles. The reason why the Western Pond Turtle Project is around is because that here in Washington State, we have a species that's invasive, which is the bullfrog. And what happens is bullfrogs, they get pretty big and they will eat anything that can fit inside their mouth. Baby pond turtles are the perfect eating size. These turtles get taken out pretty quickly by the bullfrogs. So our goal at the zoo was to raise the pond turtles from hatchlings and make sure they're big enough before we release them back in the wild, so to be too big to be eaten by the bullfrog. The hellbender is another one, the California condor, and so much more. The Arabian oryx, that's another unique one that I did have the pleasure of seeing also. There's so many species that are being taken care of by these SSP programs. Przewalski's horses, I call them pea horses. Przewalski's horse. I saw them at the wilds. I've seen them somewhere else, but I know for sure I saw them at the wilds in Ohio. Awesome, amazing, beautiful horse. It's important to know that selecting animals for introduction to the wild is a rigorous process. Depending on how safe the release site is, cell toxicity, microclimates, whether it's human-wildlife conflict, those can all be issues. Whether wild boar populations would take well to zoo-bred individuals, and most importantly, these zoo-bred animals would take to wild conditions well. Species like the California condor and the red wolf are bred in off-site, off-show facilities. They're kept as wild as possible to prevent habituation to people and human-like culture. I mean, animals aren't developing to culture, but I think you know what I mean by that. One of my favorite stories about keeping animals wild is the fact that the condor program, a lot of times when they raise baby condors, they use puppets that look like the head of a female condor feeding the baby. They will use that to pick up meat and make sure the animal imprints on that puppet, which looks like an adult condor instead of a person's face. So it keeps them pretty wild. In 2019, the AZA created a program called SAFE, or Saving Animals from Extinction, another collaborative effort focusing more on field conservation initiatives and public advocacy. Essentially, SAFE and SSPs work together with the sole purpose of expanding the work that they have achieved so far. So next time you see one of those signs in a zoo or an aquarium, you'll know that there is something big happening for that species, and there is a ripple effect that is taking place by just you visiting the zoo. If you have an animal topic that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want more animal news, zoo visits, animal updates, whatever. Till next time, it's your boy Jungle Jordan. I'm out.